evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all in the Masterclass 3 10x Productivity Generative AI for Leaders. In today's rapidly evolving business world, generative AI is no longer just a futuristic concept but is also a powerful tool that is transforming how we work. This session will explore how we can harness the power of AI to enhance productivity and efficiency, ultimately creating more agile and competitive organizations. We are honored to have with us today a distinguished speaker, Mr. Krishnakumar, CEO of GreenPepper. He is a recognized AI and generative AI coach conducting workshops and coaching sessions to help professionals and organizations harness the power of AI. His expertise in AI and digital transformation makes him a thought leader in this space. We are privileged to learn from him today. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Krishnakumar, sir.
Good to see you all. I was thinking in the fourth floor, nobody's there. So when he when he brought me here, there was no one. And by the time I entered the room, there was some people waiting. Thank you so much. Two things. One, how many of you really feel that AI is going to change a lot of things in our life? Just raise your hands. Right? So there is no doubt so there are no doubtful people here that somebody talking about AI will happen or not. Essentially, we all understood that this is a foundational shift, right? Second question to you is, how many of you have started that exploration? Like, I'm sure some of you are super curious about what's happening. 2 years back, when a conversational board started, we thought this could be a big thing. And some of you would have explored it crazy. Some of you are still skeptical, trying to find out the best use cases. Where are you actually? In what part of the journey you are right now? Just want to hear from some of you. Hi. Good to see you. You raised the hands. Yeah. You were about to say something? No, it's okay. So where are you in the journey? Are you like experimenting journey, or like are you proving some exploration journey, right? And some of you are like trying to prove some interesting use cases, like this is working for me. This kind of task was like difficult for me earlier, but right now it kind of is game changing. Like I can do it in like 10 minutes, right? So people started feeling the surprise that AI is able to do so many things which we were not able to do earlier, right? 2 years back, when you get a very complex Excel sheet, what would you do? You would ignore it probably, right? Or maybe you'll open it and see whether there is something in me which I can make sense of. And then you will try to connect a couple of variables and then say, oh, this is it, right? What can you do right now? You can become a data analyst in no time, right? With the power of, like, say, for example, a tool like O1, right, in ChatGPT. Question to you is, how many of you have explored the pro version of any of the tools, be it OpenAI, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity? Anyone who's invested in terms of using the pro version? I can see 2 people. So I would need your validation for the rest of the people. Do you think the pro version is 10% better or 10x better?
It's more faster.
Okay. What about you? Reasoning is better, right? Do you mind sharing one use case which really, like blew away? Like, oh, wow, this is great.
I think it was Runway ML when I started creating videos.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you?
Marketing for corporates.
Okay.
Videos for them was.
All right.
But content creation, like creating social media, content for that.
Right.
It became much simpler.
It became simpler and it became smarter. And you're able to think more creatively and create options for yourself, right? The idea of today's session, I don't know how, I think we have 90 minutes now. One by one, I don't want to give you a theory of what large language models are or what is AGI or ASA and all. This will come naturally, right? We don't have to talk about it now. Let's try to see how this can help you right now, right? People talk about, hey, this will happen. No, I'm just waiting for something not to happen. I'm waiting for something to do right now, you know. How many of you are students here? Just raise your hands. All right. Tell me a couple of tools which you kind of use, like of course, some of you might be using Meta AI on WhatsApp. What are the other tools which you use? Straightforward answer, ChatGPT. What else? Gamma, okay, for presentations, right? What else? Perplexity for research and information gathering, right? What else? How many of you have tried the recent one which is kind of making a lot of news and noise? DeepSeek, right? And now there is another tool which immediately came after DeepSeek is Kimi AI. Like, of course, Chinese models are getting crazy out there. Alibaba also launched a crazy model, which is as good as Owen model. So what essentially means is that in the last 2 years, large language models are competing with each other and making our lives slightly better by giving us tools which can actually empower us to do so many things, which includes learning, research, writing, productivity, analysis, creative stuff, unbiasing ourselves. So one of the interesting use case which I want to share with you today as leaders, I'm sure, is that anytime you learn something new, you feel that some pattern is coming and disturbing you, right? I don't like this topic. For example, how many of you hate mathematics? Right. So if I ask you to learn one concept of mathematics, you will run away from this room, right? Right? Because we are so biased that the 10-year conditioning has made us feel like we hate mathematics, right? So I kind of use, my personal use case for AI is that whatever I hate right now, or probably something which I didn't like for a while, can I use AI to unbias myself? What is unbiasing? I have a bias. I have a bias which is formed over a period of time, 10 years, 15 years, right? I don't like physics. I feel physics is, of course, I like Oppenheimer movie, but I don't like physics, right? A lot of people got excited about watching Oppenheimer movie, but the next time you open a physics book, you say, oh, wow, this is even crazier than nuclear bomb, right? I mean, don't want to read it, right? Now, how do you unbias ourselves and learn something new by using AI, making it easier for you, making it fun for you, making it entertaining for you? That's what we need to use AI for, right? People are having discussions around AI saying that this is going to replace us, this is going to kind of create some crazy job markets. That's not the way to look at it. I would say we need to look at what are the limitations which we have, and can AI help me to overcome those limitations, right? So first we need to crack, like, these are some of the limitations I have. I don't like these subjects. Maybe AI can help me to learn that better, right? I don't like to analyze numbers. Maybe AI can help me to understand that better. I don't want to go through a 500-page document and make a summary of it. AI can help me to do that better, right? I want to learn subjects in a new way, not the textbook way, like, or not the Wikipedia way, or not the YouTube way. I want to learn it the way I want, right? Maybe AI can help you to do better, right? I don't want to write a huge, 10-page thing myself, but I want to organize my best thoughts in 10 points and can generate an altogether new article for myself, right? So these are some of the real needs which we have. How many of you feel these are some real needs, right? So essentially what AI is helping you to do is to kind of solve some real needs of people. There is a disclaimer for today's presentation because I thought this is going to be more of a session for leaders, but we're going to make it learners, leaders, anybody here, because I want to make it super relevant for you. Even though the presentation was kind of designed in kind of thinking about generative AI for leaders, you would have seen the title, like Generative AI for Leaders, 10x your productivity at workplace. So we're going to make a quick tweak on that and experiment with some of the real things, okay? So let's make it conversational. I hope you'll be with me on that, right? Is it ready? Yeah. Can we, no, I need it actually. Oh, all right, okay. Oh, this is the one, right? Okay. And I need this for some of our demo also. Thanks. I can keep here. All right. Yeah. Internet is on? Right. We'll take some examples when we do the thing, right? There are two things. One is last 10 years we saw technologies automating stuff, right? But this is not just automation. This is game changing, right? Tell me one moment you felt that this is not just automation, this is not just a tool, this is a game changer, this is basically a foundational shift, right? What are the other foundation shifts we have seen in our life? Not in our lives, maybe decades before, maybe 100 years before. Yeah. Personal computer or graphical user interface. I think people needing to have code to interact with the computer. You have to click on an icon. So GUI was like one of the interesting phenomena. What are the other ones? Electricity. When electricity was founded, nobody thought that, this could even power nuclear reactors. So people thought this could be just useful for a bulb, right? Just light up a room, and that's the purpose of electricity, right? So if people think that AI is to write emails better, I think that's a similar use case which you're talking about. So how electricity helped you to just light a bulb, right? What did it actually do? It did a lot of other things, right? It improved. So, with the more electricity coming in, ability to store and transport electricity, what happened was like a whole new revolution across industries where electricity was used not just for lighting the bulb, it was used for larger purposes, even powering nuclear reactors. Exactly the same foundation shift which is happening right now with AI. ChatGPT coming up with a tool, a lot of people mistook it as something like, oh, this is going to help me write an email better. Yeah, that's one of the things. Oh, this is going to help me summarize a complex document better. One of it, right? What could it actually be doing? We would see day by day, right? So it changes a lot of things, basically. Why I share this, because, I've spoken to a lot of people in the process. Like in the last 2 years of my pivot into GenAI journey, I've spoken to almost 30,000 people, over 120 plus, programs, workshops, masterclasses. And each time I talk to a leader and I understand what they think about it. And of course, a lot of AI researchers, engineers are also part of the whole programs. And I realized that this is not an ordinary moment at all, right? The second thing is you should have heard about something like Stargate project, right? It's equivalent to something like a Manhattan project, right, for AI, right? Now, what is Stargate project? All the big companies, including OpenAI, Oracle, Microsoft, and the US government coming together to create one of the largest data centers on the desert in the US with an investment of $500 billion, which is equivalent to 2% of the GDP of US. So imagine 2% of the GDP of US, which is the same amount they invest in the defense. If you look at any country's economy, they invest the most percentage of their GDP in defense. India is also like that. Right? If you ask me when is the war coming, nobody knows. But the percentage of allocation of budget to the defense is highest. Now, what if a country like America has decided to surpass the AI budget more than the defense? What is your analysis about it? What is your insight? What is the insight you're getting out of it? I leave it to you. Insight is left to you. Yeah. Maybe that's the best defense they have, right? To become the best AI nation in the world, while countries like China is kind of competing secretly to outpace the thing. If you ask me, I have a very, very clear opinion on, if you ask me China or America, I would always say America. The reason, but there's always an underdog thing, in the game. But whom do you trust? Whom do you know about more, right? I think I know more about America than China, right? So there is a lot of conversations around DeepSeek or OpenAI. All good. DeepSeek is good. Alibaba is good. But I don't know them. I don't know what they're doing, right? So if countries are investing seriously on AI, it only means that the capability is going to exponentially grow. It is not just going to be lying like how it is right now with basic tools. Every tool, every platform, every business will have an AI layer. So maybe JAIN University will become an AI-first university in the next 2 years. I'm sure this game is already on. You can see OpenAI's Edu platform. If you go to OpenAI's website, you can just type in OpenAI Edu. You will see a whole new platform only built for building AI-first universities. 3 days back, they also launched something called OpenAI GOV, where it means every department of government of the US is going to be having an API of OpenAI to run the entire data which the government of, the federal government produces. And so, all the skepticism about where is the data, privacy, security, transparency, all gone in one deal, right? That means federal government plus OpenAI coming up with something called OpenAI for GOV. So why I'm sharing this is before the presentation is because let's be very clear about how the foundation shift is happening very strongly. Okay, now coming back to our daily use cases, right? Let's look at, can you tell me one of the most interesting thing which you've done with ChatGPT? Unconventional stuff, something which you created. I'll tell mine definitely. Yeah.
Creating a storyboard for a
Storyboard, right? My question to you is like, without that, how would you approach that?
I would hire a storyboard artist to develop.
Right? You would have hired an artist, not just hiring, right? You have to brief them. You can tell them, this is my idea, this is the context, this is insights which I have. It'll take some time, right? And the artist need to understand the context as how you explain this. You need to give some time to the artist, right? They have to get back to the way you want, right? And then the iteration is going on, right? Imagine the whole process of to and fro with an artist. Do it yourself, right? Great. What else? Yeah.
I use it for summarizing long passages.
Interesting. So my experience with the summary is that people think that this is going to just pick up some ideas and putting together. No, right? It's reading, analyzing the entire document with really good superhuman intelligence. And as a super, I'm just exaggerating, human intelligence, and then coming out with some insights which are like so relevant for the 200-page document that you don't want to miss it, right? So we have a GPT called 9-point summary. Like you put any document into it, it'll create 9-point summary just like that. So you can have fun, right? You don't want to read more than 9 points anyway, right? There is no point in reading more than 9 points because it's too overwhelming for someone to comprehend such kind of information, right? What are the other things? I'm sure you would have done it. Whenever I ask this question, people keep this as a secret hack, but now this is time to get it out of yourself, help others, yeah?
I used it for coding to create web apps.
Super, super. Great. So you're a programmer? Oh, sure. So you have created that. Great. I have seen, so I'm helping a lot of non-developers, means people who don't know programming, to build AI products. Right?
I have done some HTML games. I am not a coder, but I have used some tools to some old-fashioned games.
Interesting, right? Have you ever felt that you will be able to make an HTML games before? Right?
Never.
Never. We have built, in the last 2 years, we've built more than 70 plus AI products, right? With obviously powered by OpenAI and interesting use cases. We will never be able to even think of making that products in a UI UX scenario because the kind of effort required to make each product is so big, right? You can imagine a full stack engineer need to be in place. Where are the people? I mean, they have their own jobs, right? And there need to be a UI designer. There need to be a person who need to go and tell them which language to use. I mean, a 3-4 member team used to do this job of building an AI product pre-ChatGPT era, and right now you have the opportunity to make that instantly with ChatGPT Pro, which is what you call as a GPT, making GPTs, right? Fourthly, how many of you worked on something like, say, using it for interesting ways to learn something new? What was the craziest thing which you've learned with AI?
I'm using it to educate my patients.
Okay. Interesting. So you're a doctor? Great. You wrote a book. Atheist, right? Things which we earlier thought is impossible is something which is making it possible right now. one of the use cases which I always feel that any area where you don't have a domain knowledge, right? For example, medical, I have no domain knowledge, but if I have my health report, I don't have to kind of go around and talk to a lot of people, drag and drop, and I always ask this question like, give me non-medical advice, right? Which means that if for example, if my cholesterol is slightly higher, it will give me a very clear schedule of what needs to be done based on the levels I have, right? So which means I don't want a medical advice there. I want a non-medical advice, proactive wellness advice from ChatGPT. Now, there are cases where you get up documents, for example, a financial report, right? You have no idea how to analyze a financial report, but it makes sense for you to analyze a financial report because there is a decision which is involved in making it. You know how to do it, right? Let's start with some of the use cases and then go to the wildest ones. Okay, content. What is the wildest way of produced content with AI? So there is a concept called content repurposing, right? What is content repurposing? You start with an idea, you make a blog, then you make it a podcast content. Then from podcast content, you can actually make it a tweet content. From tweet content, you can kind of make it an Instagram description. So one thread, we are making it whole lot of content just by saying that make it a Instagram description, right? So earlier, most of the social media people only write one sort of content. They'll put the Instagram description on LinkedIn and they'll put it on Amazon and maybe they kind of make small changes. But each of the platforms require different content styles, tone, and approach, right? So there is a platform called Copy.ai, right? Copy.ai, Jasper, and these were the platforms which came before ChatGPT for content. So what made them special was that even if you don't know marketing, it'll suggest you, like you can write an Amazon description, you can write a meta ad, you can make a better website landing page copy. I mean, it'll kind of suggest you to do that, right? Now, if you have the domain knowledge about content writing, a little bit content knowledge, if you know the terms, it becomes so easy. So how many of you feel that domain knowledge has become more important right now because interacting with an AI model require you to have to know the keywords, the terms, the special words, right? For example, in marketing, if you want to ask AI to come up with a brand voice, that's a term which only a marketer knows, right? I'm sure that doctors know a very special term which will kind of trigger AI to kind of bring up the exact precise results, which otherwise we wouldn't know. We would maybe use very generic terms. We may get generic output as well. So domain knowledge plus AI is going to be a killer thing, right? Like, so what we want here, and now there is a thing to here. You can go back and learn domain knowledge with AI itself. So what I do is, like for example, we can try now, okay? For example, what is the domain we want to explore today? Medical science, yeah? Maybe we have a validator here. So he can validate. So we need validation, right? The point is, when we experiment with any AI tool, I won't want someone like a domain expert to validate, okay, this makes sense to me, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't make sense of the stuff which is coming out, right? Can we try with your permission?
Yeah, sure, but I need something beside medical.
Beside, all right. So let's try something new. What do you think? Sorry? It'll be too, boring for us, the people, but we'll pick up one of the data analytics use case anyway. Let's try marketing, right? All right. So look at the prompt. We say, give me 10 keywords and combinations of it in marketing to help me prompt and learn better with the AI in a table, right? This is all what you need to have to start with to use the keywords and then start your exploration, right? Otherwise, we don't have any keywords to start our exploration, right? So he said data analytics. So data analytics also have certain terms which will help you to know how to go further, right? Now, out of this, let's look at creating. Okay, let's pick up this. How many of you feel we can pick up this? Yeah? Neuromarketing, yeah? Now we are picking up this. So I'm saying I'm building a D2C brand in Instagram on apparel. Very simple, like a solopreneur building some small brand, right? But he liked the idea of neuromarketing. Oh, he said, oh, I've heard this neuromarketing in a marketing seminar. It sounds to be good. But I don't know how to apply this in D2C scenario of an apparel brand, which I'm selling in Instagram. You got two ideas, right? So what we're trying to do is, we copy-pasted the whole thing and said like, okay, this is how we can use neuromarketing in a D2C brand, selling apparel in Instagram, even if you don't know neuromarketing, right? What it does is, it's not teaching you neuromarketing, right? Hello, this is neuromarketing. Step 1, step 2, characteristics of neuromarketing, not confusing, going straight away and blending those concepts into the problem and sharing a thing with you. How many of you will feel like doing this, right? Instead, what is neuromarketing, objectives of neuromarketing, what is good, bad, ugly, right? What are the concepts, and whatever examples you learn in neuromarketing, you will not be able to apply in the way you want in your context because it's just theoretical knowledge, right? With AI, what happens is, the insights of neuromarketing is blended to your context. How many of you feel this is interesting, right? Look at the ideas. Let's look at one of the ideas, social proof, right? Like, I mean, obviously, most of the entrepreneurs, when they start businesses, they forget the fundamentals because they are concerned about so many other things, right? And they get to focus on wrong areas sometimes, and they get distracted by things. This is where knowledge helps, right? And knowledge can help you when knowledge is easy, not when knowledge is kind of requires a lot of processing for you to do, right? What if you know, but it takes a lot of cognitive bandwidth? When you say cognitive bandwidth, it's the power required to process that idea and apply it in a space, right? And brain is like the laziest engine in the whole body. If you agree with me, it needs rest. It needs a lot of rest, basically, right? Now, as an entrepreneur, you don't have the time to kind of take rest. So what do we do is to do this, right? Let's take the same thing with data analytics, okay? Do it. So I'm saying do the same with data analytics. What is the use case?
Some prediction about market prices.
To do, say, stock market predictions in India on small stocks. Yeah? So it's going to do the same, make a table, use data analytics, and apply this to areas in stock markets, right? I think it is using the neuro thing, right? Or is it using the analytics? Yeah, it's using the neuro analytics. Yeah, correct. How many of you feel this is cool? Like idea, domain knowledge into use case, blend it, make it happen, and give a context. So learning would be really fun if you have a context, right? The reason why it's always good to learn automobile engineering when the car gets stuck, right? Otherwise, will we learn? Right? We will not learn. Right? So when the car gets stuck, we'll go to the problem, and then you work around the problem and see, oh, these are the problems, and I have to solve it. So you learn 10% of automobile engineering in one instance, which will take another 6 months for an automobile engineer to do in a college, right? So give problems, so give challenges, give projects to people so that they'll pick up ideas. So it's like this, you would have seen a lot of crime thrillers, right? First 10 minutes, the crime happens, right? Usually if it's a good thriller, it'll happen in first 10 minutes. Then what is the audience left with? Audience is left with the problem statement. The director is giving you a problem statement to the audience, and we are holding the problem statement for the rest of the 2.5 hours. And then when we get a small input from the scriptwriter, we'll pick it up. Oh, wow, now I got it. Now I get it. I'm getting there. And you collect the 10 dots, and finally, just before 5 minutes of the movie getting over, we would think that this would happen. The scriptwriter will outsmart us, or maybe we will outsmart the scriptwriter. This is how it happens, because the challenge is always something which audience wants. Like, so similarly, learner needs real challenge. The learner do not want to learn concepts, basically. So the best concepts are learned through real projects and challenges. So this is how we can convert our conceptual understanding with context and create things. How many of you feel this is something which you can go back and try? Just raise your hand. You can use it on, I think, free versions. It should work pretty well because it's pretty much straightforward text-based stuff, right? Okay, let's go back and get to using AI to think creatively, right? Now, when it comes to creative thinking, humans are so egoistic that we want our creative thoughts to come in every part of it, right? So we don't want AI to think for us. We feel we are superior. It's okay. I mean, if we enjoy creative process, it's good. But what if we don't get to enjoy the creative process, one? Two, what if you don't have the time to enjoy the creative process? What would happen? Like, for example, to write a story, you need to be there, right? You need to think for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, think of it. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. So you need a slight nudge, small push to make you creative. And what all you need is that some idea. Like, so here, let's try this with, so we're going to create a bit of story, right? Like where, not just an ordinary story, like give me a thread, right? Where you can create a full story which can look like an original script. Think about it. Like a marketing story or something like that. What could that be? So let's do this. Each one of you say one word, and we'll connect all that and make a story, right? What about you? Just one word. Just one word, and I'll pick up from him the rest of it. All right.
Treasure.
All right. What about you? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
You can add island.
Okay. Okay. This looks like Christopher Nolan. Okay, what else? Crime. Okay, what? Then what? One more. Oh, wow. Okay. We just want 100 words because we don't want to read the full story, right? We'll keep it 100 words. So, if you see this in Netflix description, will you watch it or not? Okay, let's make it like let's see what it comes out with. Yeah. Proper story. I mean, Netflix description won't be as long as this, but yes, it's okay. You want to read this? Think of it like all the elements are there, or how does it work? Obviously, it's kind of tried to sometimes push the ideas all together. Right? Now, the point is, where do we use this? Is it for fun, yourself to read? We need some use case, right? Obviously. What would be the use case? So one of the use cases is like, put a real script into it and say that, what if this character dies in between? How would the whole thing changes? And it's like it works like variables. So one variable, the actor is a variable, and the variable doesn't exist by the time the interval is over, right? And without that variable, how do you create the story around that? Because the variable is super crucial. So that's the creativity part of it. So if someone says AI is not creative, I wouldn't agree with it, because if you look at marketing, story writing, copywriting, scripting, it's immensely being used, right? So almost 1.5 years back, there was a hue and cry about Hollywood scriptwriters saying that AI is killing us and all. Now they're silent. You know what they're doing? They're using it, right? So they are able to create 4 or 5 different versions of their same script. They write the script, of course. They don't get into the job of making the ChatGPT do the script. They write the script, and the director would say, I think we need to kind of make a super interesting twist here, but this is not good, right? Now that's where they're using AI to kind of create options inside the movie to make it better, right? Does it make sense? Yeah? All right. Testing ideas, right? A lot of us don't know whether the idea will work or not. Right? So for example, if you have an idea in a one-pager, you put it on ChatGPT and ask for like, what is the probability of this idea working? Give me 5 different parameters in this idea work or not, right? Which is something interesting use case, right? Many of us don't know what decision to take. Have you ever used AI to kind of arrive at a decision? Like to do something, you arrive at a decision with AI, right? You're asking questions, and you're becoming more informed. You're able to compare between 3 things and then trying to finally take, okay, this is good, let me go ahead. Only one? How many of you?
I asked my best friend actually.
You ask your recommendations, right? So sometimes recommendations work because you have the trust to them. You feel that this person liked it, maybe I like it too, right? So that's the way recommendations work. Yeah. Planning ahead. How many of you use it for, like for example, say, let's look at like having an example like this. I am like 100 kilos, okay, and is 6 feet, right? Want to run a half marathon in say 20 days. Possible? Make a plan based on the book Atomic Habits in a table, right? We are trying to kind of use the entire book in a single context, right? How many of you have heard this book, Atomic Habits? Some of you, right? You like the book, right? The ideas are so good, right? But reading the book, you're not able to connect certain ideas. You like the ideas, but then how do you connect? Now look at this, identity-based habit. Have you read about this identity-based habit in Atomic Habits? It is asking you to tell other people that I am a runner. The social pressure it creates in you to make you feel to get to the goal faster, right? Habit stacking, after waking up, 5 minutes, stretch and run, right? It's applying the principles of the book Atomic Habits in such a way that you can actually achieve a goal with this. How many feel this is cool? I feel this is cool because I've used this several times and found this to be really good, right? Okay? Better thinking with AI. Now, what if I have some biases? I feel running is not cool. Okay? So I'm saying my bias is running is not cool. Help me. That's our bias. We never felt running is cool. So kind of asking AI to help us reframe running as an identity shift. Like it's helping you to kind of think, use your psychology and help you to reframe yourself and make you feel that this could be good for you, right? We discussed something about biases, right? How can we deal with biases here? Is it cool? Yeah. New things. And new things require a lot of new energy to think, right? Like it's not easy, right? What if like we want to come up with new ideas, but we don't have the brain energy to have new ideas, like testing new thoughts, whom to talk to, right? Like if you have a new idea, sometimes you call your friend and say a new idea. The second thing which he says would destroy you, right? It would like game over, like the conversation is over and then you go back to your normal stuff, right? So with AI, you can actually make yourself think about the idea in different dimensions before you go back and discuss with people. You know what is the reason why people destroy your ideas? Single most reason for why your ideas are getting destroyed left, right, and center?
They are not in the same
No, let's not talk about them. Let's talk about us. What would be the reason that our ideas are getting destroyed?
We don't believe in our idea.
Exactly. We have not had enough of information or conviction about our idea before we go and talk to them. The reason why, obviously this is not an AI advice, always I want to make sure that will my idea become really, really, really strong even before I talk to other people. So the idea should be really strong before I go back and defend for it, right? That's the way it should work. I mean, if you really want to do something, right? So how is AI going to help you to get there, right? It can help you. So for example, in this case, you are trying to build your own conviction by, thinking about how to work with it, how to switch identity to become a better runner, right? Let's look at one example here. Take a new thread. Help me with one context so that we'll work there. Crazy context. Let's make it wild. What could that be? This is on creative thinking, okay? Give the mic, that is better. No, it's okay. Just say, man.
Very crazy.
Yeah, can be.
I got married 10 years back.
Okay.
I don't feel that much romance as my initial days.
Okay.
I want to boost up my. Let it be something.
Understand that. Good that you said this in the audience, right?
I already asked. It's a crazy one is here.
Give me creative ideas which are low cost. No, why not? So the best thing about prompting is that it shouldn't be having a lot of resources. So what if an idea requires a lot of resources? We're not interested in it. Right? We want low cost, non-linear, so for example, basically zero cost. Non-linear, which means that nobody has thought about it. Creative and, if possible, unconventional, right? Which will blow someone's mind. If someone is difficult to, satisfy, then you need to kind of really blow, right? So it's not the ideas just we want, right? We want steps to execute it, right? A lot of people are going to boost their romance lives today. Yeah. Interesting, no? Ideas? If you don't like it, you can ask for 10 more. That's it. That's how it is, right? It's not like a consultant. It will not say, no, next time I'll send you an invoice. Clear the invoice, and then I'll send you the rest. I mean, it works like that. Execution plan. Don't do everything together. One by one, okay? It's fun, right? How many of you feel this is cool, right? Now, it's not just the usual straightforward use cases we want to do, right? We want to think how can we combine ideas and use AI's intelligence to come up with things which are really giving us an unfair advantage. That's exactly what we want to do, right? We don't want to say, okay, these are the usual. So if OpenAI says that do this, okay, we can do that, but let's find out more, right? So these are things which OpenAI won't tell you to do, right? These are things which we find from our creative connections with ideas to do, right? Let's go to the next. How do we help teams to work better? Now, what if we say, so this is a project, okay? So you called a couple of your friends and said, no, I have a project. In the next 3 months, I want to improve the relationship with my partner, and you need to help me, and you are making it a project team, right? So let's say, I'm just having fun, okay? Make this a project, and allocate tasks to my friends. Yeah, let's say we have 3 people who are ready to help you. So it's kind of created operations, what do you call Operation Romance Revival with your friend. project team capabilities, creative director, operations manager. Like you allowing your team members or friends to come together to help you to kind of revive something, right? I just took this example because any example would work here, like just to see how AI would work, right? Does it make sense? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, what a friend would do, everything. Imagine, I'm sure that JAIN University would have used a lot of AI to get all the event management done. I mean, it's crazy, to put everything together. How many of you created business tools with it? Like, so if you look at ChatGPT, how many of you have seen this GPTs? You've seen GPTs, right? If you go to GPTs, you will find GPT. You can make your own GPT, small tools which can help people to, for example, there was some tools you're using. Say, for example, this is a resume story crafter. What do you mean by that? You have a resume, but you don't have a story. Resume is a very technical way of telling your story, right? There is no fun in it, like very technical, where you studied, what did you study, right? So in an interview, you need to tell a story which is exciting, right? So many people don't know how to convert your resume into a story. So this GPT can actually help you to kind of make the resume into a story, just drag and drop and it'll tell you a story, right? Let's try that once. So tools, what we mean to say here is that, why is it not coming? Yeah. What happened? Oh. Yeah. So let's say, I don't have a resume, but let me see if I can pull one and then see how to convert that. Okay, I'll put my profile if you don't mind. Like, let me see. Just like that. So just a program profile and see how it creates a story out of it. Like, so make it, so I'm saying make it dramatic, right? So, a bit more fun in like the kind of stuff we do. Like, so I'm sure that each one of you might have very technical description of what you do, but it needs to have some bit more fun, drama, so that people would like to see that. People have to hear that, right? And creating such storylines is something which you won't do for yourself, right? Because you feel, is it too much or will it work, But when AI is enabling you, I'm sure when you see this, you are able to connect. Oh, this can work because my story is similar to this, right? Great. Sure, but so document intelligence is one of the areas which I would say is it's crazy. Like, for example, if you look at something like okay, what is this? Right. Okay. So what if I just put this image there? It's an image with text. I'm saying make a full program for this. So this is a list of programs which so I'm not even extracting it. I'm just straight away saying that make a program from this, right? It's going to create a full program from this, and you can play around with that, right? See this image with the text put there, you're able to do this. The program is kind of ready. And if you don't like the format, obviously you can change the format to any sort of things, right? Permutations and combinations of various document intelligence possibles, right? Now, keeping learning. So we recently made something called Alpha Professor. It took 10 minutes to build this in Zapier, right? So what it does is, like, it'll convert complex topics into, say, for example, we talk about velocity in physics. Nobody likes to learn physics, so let's try to understand how it works. And then make the whole thing interesting, right? What if an alpha professor is excited to teach complex concepts in a very interesting way, making it not very intimidating for people or making a huge deal, oh, this is big, right? Instead, talk about how to create interest in people. And then once people create, find it interesting, then they will use their energy to learn that, right? Because to learn something, you have to use your energy to learn that, right? So, so people won't spend energy unless they really want to do it. Why we didn't learn a lot of things? Because we felt I don't need to spend energy to learn this. What's the point, right? So the professor's job is to give a reason to learn that. So it's like, if I ask you to run 10 kilometers, will you run? No, you won't, right? Like, so, but if I tell you, okay, you do this, we're doing it as a marathon, and it's going to be like propagating health and wellness and stuff like that, and you're going to get better, and your whole story is built, you may think of spending your energy, right? Similarly, do you find this interesting where you are trying to, say, for example, real life examples. Nobody wants to learn velocity in itself, but we want to learn velocity for the sake of car trip. How is velocity, connected with a car trip, or walking to class, or a plane flight, or so it starts getting better, right? Can you share a medical term, maybe just to try?
Migraine?
Okay.
You want a complex one and simple one?
Something which is known to everyone, like migraine. So you're asking this. We feel migraine is just headache, but it will explain like probably better, right? So look at the fun story to wrap it up, right? Yeah, so you can see it's starting with a little lighthearted story. Then it goes about explaining what migraine is, right? See? Key points, right? It's a VIP headache that brings its own drama and flair kind of thing, right? Symptoms, it talks about triggers, right? What all essentially you want to know about us is explained in such a way that it makes it easy for us to learn, right? How many feel this is cool? Alpha professor, which means somebody who makes learning exciting, right? Now, data. Data is something which nobody wants. Even data analysts don't like data, okay, first of all, right? Data analysts, there's no other way to do it, but yes, let's use data because that's what I've learned. Let me try and analyze data. But the more you do it repetitively, it becomes a task, right? I mean, it's not what you want to do every day, right? Because of the job, you have to do it. What if a data analyst gets the power of AI? They know the knowledge of what to do with the data, how to look at the data, what are the possibilities of data, and then using AI to generate that. You are becoming an amplified data analyst, right? Like you're not just an ordinary data analyst, right? Okay, we'll try that. We'll take an example. We're asking AI to create a sample data, okay? So I'm asking crazy request, no? Create a sample data and give 5 insights. We don't have time. We don't have Excel sheet with us. So we thought, okay, we'll ask AI to create a sample data and then generate insights from the data itself, right? Which is called synthetic data, right? Is it making sense? Are you bored? No, right? We are trying to learn something, right? Yeah, because it has had to create the data, then it's analyzed, right? Usually the latency is like 10, 20 seconds usually. Yeah, I mean. So it's kind of created a sample employee data. It's also giving us insights based on the sample data, right? Higher salary, I mean some basic insights, not some crazy ones. Give me hidden insights. That's what I'm interested, not the obvious insights, right? So the moment you say hidden insights, AI will go and find out an insight which is not very obvious, right? Obvious data, anybody can go open the document and find out, right? So this is where we're going to use it, like something which is not easily possible with our own effort, but can do. It's taking a bit of time, but yes, I think it's kind of making some interesting things. See, salary disparity in IT. Underpaid experienced employees. See, underpaid experienced employees is not a usual insight we get, right? high performers at risk, agent performance relationship, most overworked department. These are the kind of insights an HR would really appreciate, not the usual, this person didn't come to me. Of course, that's obvious data, right? So how do you connect variables? So for example, 10 into 10, there are 100 variables. It is able to connect various variables and generate some crucial insights. Make sense? Okay. Using AI to build and test new ideas quickly, right? I think we'll skip this and find out some other use cases interesting. Like if you have data and if you want to clean the data, structure the data, right? For example, most of you would have done this, like you have open a website, you select all, copy paste, because the content will be like scattered. You put it on ChatGPT and say structure it as if like a list. It will structure it. So any scattered thing, it will come to ChatGPT and, I mean, obviously this is cleaning and structuring data, right? Teaching people to use AI tools, of course, that's one of the leadership things. If you have people, obviously these are techniques which you shouldn't be keeping it for yourself, but just go and teach your parents. Very interesting use cases will come up because they are the people who have a lot of time to think, right? So whenever I've taught somebody who is like above 60 AI, I do that like sometimes for fun. Next couple of weeks later, they would tell me an entirely different use case which would surprise me because they have a lot of time to think, right? Young people don't have time to think, so they will probably forget it, they will use it for something, but the other people have, there is one more thing to it, like, so they feel that, elderly people have a feeling that, there is a word called Tandavibe and all, right? They feel, if I don't know AI, Talavibe also, I mean, all kinds of vibes there, right? So they feel, I should learn this, right? And they take more efforts than young people to learn this, I'm telling you. Crazy efforts going on to learn this, and maybe they'll come back and teach you, you never know, right? Clean data, of course, that's important. Communication, content creation, primarily. And like, what if you want to know a marketing campaign copy? Will this work in Africa? Will this work in UK? Give me reasons, right? Now, in UK, it may work in London, but may not work in Manchester. Give me reasons for why it won't work in Manchester, right? It'll give you reasons for why it won't work based on the nuances in that market, which means that you don't have to call your Manchester expert and ask, hey, I have a campaign, what do you think about it, right? The earlier scenario was that you have to get an expert here, and whenever there is an output coming in, I always ask this, explain why this output has come, right? Which means that you're not just buying the output from AI, you're asking and critically asking AI to kind of critically evaluate its own output, right? All right. Fair and clear, which means that you, so whenever there is a kind of output which is biased, right, you feel, I'm not buying this output, right? Instead of just saying that, you can say that, evaluate this output and bring out the biases. So AI has a very interesting way to go back and uncover its own biases. It won't be done by a human, right? Humans say, no, this is the best idea, right? So let's use that. Tools, I mean, if you really look at it, how many of you are using tools other than ChatGPT and Gen AI tools, like any AI tools which are using? Yeah. Copilot, yeah. Microsoft, yeah. For, I think you're using, are you using a paid version? Which makes sense because, yeah. You're fully paid, yeah, fully paid. You said Runway ML also, right? It's also paid version. I think you can only make a couple of videos in the free version. Now OpenAI Sora has come up, like, which is very interesting. I'll just give you a quick thing because how the filmmaking thing has changed. Yes, it's available to Pro. Is it available for everyone or? So if you look at this, now I'll just show you something which I've created so that it won't take much of rendering time. So for example, this one, right? For example, I just put sparrow sitting on branch, looking at camera, National Geographic. So the keyword was National Geographic because I want to make it sure that AI understands the quality of the video which you are talking about. Dappled light, which means slightly light, and blurry, which means depth of field. So I like a little bit of photography, so I put those words and then, isn't it not bad, right? It kind of creates very interesting, yeah. Very close to, and you don't feel it like AI, right? Yeah. This one is like, I think this one. It has a, this is a prompt. Can you read the prompt? Actually, you don't have to write a lot. I like writing, so I wrote it because you could have actually made it like a lone traveler walking through a serene mountain path, it'll come, right? But okay, we are trying, right? We are trying to make it better and better. And you look at this, and then look at the camera is like slightly on the ground, which means that it is exactly like this. So it understands the camera, the angle, the movement, the light, the dramatic effect, the person, obviously, right? Yeah, so that's where the video thing is reaching. Because these are all silent revolutions which are happening, and yeah.
This was done on paid version?
This is done on paid version, pro version, yeah. It took almost 1 minute to create this, I mean, less than 1 minute to create this, for rendering and all, right? And this is 720p quality. If you need higher quality, you need to wait, please.
So can you please show the video once again?
This one?
So how do we,
Yeah.
how do we say that, okay, when I'm looking at the water flow, right?
Yeah.
It looks more like the waves.
Yeah.
Understood? It goes from left to right and then coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
So that means we have to give another
Prompt.
prompt
Yeah,
to say that the water flow has to be like this.
yeah. So if you look at a flowing river nearby, like I'm sure, I mean, I know that it's not exactly the same, right? Yeah, it happens. Like, so it has its own visual hallucination sometimes. Yeah.
But now people use something called Unreal Engine. They tag it from Unreal.
Which one?
Mechanics. Unreal Engine.
Yeah. So that it,
It's a world creation software.
all right,
So
okay.
according to it, it can create.
It can create, yeah.
Especially this fluid mechanics.
Interesting,
how
interesting.
water can flow, yeah.
So what if, like, you know, a series of such 3-4 second videos can be brought together and kind of create good, I mean, obviously, shooting this will cost a lot, right? Actually, shooting this will cost a lot. So, but again, I mean, never know where the video production is leading to, because AI video production is not something which we want to see, right? But when somebody said that, I asked, like, we are watching VFX movies, full VFX movies, all made by machines and humans together, right? So, what, for example, Lion King, is there a single real picture? There is not a single camera, there is no photography there. It's all VFX, 100%, right? I don't think there is a single shot made with a camera. Don't you think so? Right? I don't know. I have to check with it.
I think they were here and they were explaining about it the other day.
Yeah, animation.
Completely,
It's completely human plus animation studio. I mean, you mean to say the animation software.
completely CG and they're using performance capture for the animation.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the way it works, right? I just want to quickly show that because we were talking about a little bit of tools. Teamwork with AI tools, yeah, I mean, it is possible. Getting products to market faster. So if you go to bolt.new, right, like anyone wanting to have a new idea,
I seen this just 3 days back.
yeah,
A-
Bolt,
A boy was taking on a round Johnson.
yeah, create a landing page, for example, for a say urban audience, right? We'll see, okay? Oh, right. Yeah, it'll take some time. We'll come back. Yeah. So anyone with an idea now can actually use, say, for example, Lovable AI or Bolt, right? Or for that matter, Cursor to make something as a prototype. Like just a prototype, say, for example, is this happening? You know. Yeah, we'll come back. So you want to create an icon. And it is made in React. Right? Yeah, it'll show a preview mostly. I think you understand. Okay. So basically you want to have a wireframe or a high fidelity wireframe, put out like what you really want, and it generates a proper front end, right, on React for doing. So usually earlier it was like wireframe with a low fidelity, and now it goes straight away to high fidelity. You can show, because earlier the process of making high fidelity was high expensive, so the reason why it took the whole process, right? So now you can go straight and build it. So you can explore lovable AI, then obviously bold new, I mean something is happening, so not able to show. Yeah, making things better with customers. So that was an interesting example where I feel a new product itself can emerge from customer reviews and AI. So what if like so there was a guy who worked with Oberoi, and when he wanted to start his own property brand, he thought of first thinking about his own ideas. And then he said, no, my ideas might be very biased, right? So what he did was he went and web scraped almost 10,000 Google reviews of 4-star and 5-star hotels in the luxury segment. He scraped it and he ran a thing called, give me 10 killer pain points of customers. And he said, I'm going to use all these 10 things and I'm going to solve all it in my property. The number one pain point was check-in, check-out time. How do we know that we are reaching the city at exactly 2 p.m., right? How do we know that we're going to get out of the hotel exactly by 11 a.m., right? That's not the way it works. I mean, humans need their own time, especially when they're in a new city. They have a lot of things to do. So this hotel check-in, check-out time is a crazy time, especially for high-profile customers. And they have to always go to the front office, talk to the person, negotiate. And they don't like the fact that they have to negotiate for 1 or 2 hours extra for someone with a front office background, right? So the idea is, how do we find an interesting product proposition? So if you want a product, if you want to really make a product, go to the competitors' brands, get the Google reviews, get the Instagram comments. I mean, Instagram comments will be difficult. Google reviews is very easy to website. Run a thing, say, what are 10 points which people are unhappy about? As Bill Gates say, the best way to create a new product is out of unhappiness of your competitor products, right? And not out of happiness. Don't focus on the delight aspect. Focus on the unhappiness, right? Most of the agencies in India focus on the unhappiness of customers of other agencies in India so that they get them, right? You call them and say, oh, I know this guy is not picking my call. Okay, let me try and work with you, right? That's how it happens. So interesting customer reviews with AI can help you to build new products. Right? New ways to get things done, yes. Smarter work steps, task management, fresh ways to grow. For example, let's see one more thing. Let's take up that example of, say, for example, data insights. From these data insights, like what you have done with the data insights, give me HR actionables that you can talk to the CEO and implement in a 12-week time. So based on this problem which you've identified, how do I create a 12-week plan? What do you think about it, right? Clear plan of action for an HR leader to focus on what to do, right? I think you got it. I'm going to skip some of it, but yes, training people, like how do we train people? Goals, right? Using AI legally and safely, right? There is something called responsible AI, right? Have you heard about it? Right? Yeah. What does it actually mean? I mean, using in the right way, right? And beware of biases. Become more fair about it, right? How many of you have tried using some of the meeting notes with, I'm sure there are a lot of meeting notes available with AI, right? Which one do you find the most useful? I find a couple of tools useful, one is my favorite, which is called Tactic, right? Obviously, Zoom also has an AI tool. TACT. Yeah. I mean, it just becomes part of the, meetings. And it gives you summary of people. Not just summary, okay? For example, there are 4 people on the call. It will listen to the call, and it will also talk about what each one of them committed. And create a summary of each one people talking and what are the key points they committed and what is accountability, and you can share this immediately after the meeting, right? Malayalam markilla. English enna parayana. So, I mean, again, what if you are doing 4 or 5 calls a day? I mean, it'd be crazy, what you agreed for, what are the things, So, making the remote work as professional as possible, documenting every bit of information you are dealing with the clients, leaders, stakeholders, people, and you have a very clean way of working, setting up the work, right? So these are some of the ideas I want to share with you, and we can have a quick round of questions if you feel like asking. Yeah. So how many of you feel that these are some of the things you can go back and try? You feel so? Yeah. Great. Yeah.
What is the psychological impact of AI? Because I could see a couple of my friends started using AI as an interaction session.
Yeah.
To get their benefit, because they couldn't find a friend who they want as per their input. So they started interacting using AI itself to get the best advice. So how do you forward psychological impact of AI?
Yeah. So a lot of people have started talking to AI. For example, Meta AI itself, right? Like a problem we have, right? Usually we discuss with someone very close to, right? But the point with someone, discussing that is like you may not get a real thing, right? You may have to explain a lot to get that, right? I think for therapy, for any serious modification of your behaviors, AI is slightly more reliable than a really good friend, which means a really good friend has only intentions, but lack knowledge. Right? Intentions are good. Like a really good friend might try to help you, but they may not try to help you with the knowledge in hand. Like, so they may say, hey, don't worry. It's not enough, right? You need to understand the emotion, you need to label it, you need to work on that. There is a process required there, right? A lot of people started talking only to AI these days also because of introverts, like there are 2 kinds of people, introverts, extrovert, ambiverts, and all. Introverts love AI, right? Because then they can stop talking to all the people who don't make sense to them, right? Yeah, please.
സമീപഭാവിയിലൊന്നും എഐക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റൂല എന്ന് നിങ്ങൾ വിചാരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം. AI can't do that in nearby future.
Means like nearby means 5 years?
Can be.
Not sure. Like, there's a lot of conversations around AI do not have consciousness. That's the biggest argument against AI by humans. You can't have human consciousness. Obviously, you don't want human consciousness for AI, right? AI.
We need to figure it out first.
Yeah. So 99% of the humans don't have awareness of consciousness. Then what are you talking about, right? So if
Where do you feel the accuracy stands? Because when it comes to complex prompts, it will take a lot of iterations for you to come up to your expectations.
So where do you feel the accuracy
So,
right now stands?
interesting question. There are two things. One is like to understand AI, you need to understand neural networks, right? How are neural networks work? Human brain, something very similar to human brain, but on a machine level, right? Secondly, you need to understand the pre-training data which goes into it, like millions of. So, depending on the quality of the pre-training data, the accuracy can improve. So, neural networks plus pre-training of data. Thirdly, most importantly, is the computing power. So even if you have both neural networks and the pre-trained data, if the computing power is less, it is not going to get you the results, right? The reason why in a runway ML you would find the moment you pay for it, it gets you the computing power and brings out better images. Earlier, it brings you very compromised images, right? So it's like this, you pay 10,000, you get something. You pay 25,000, you get higher quality. You give 1 lakh rupees, a person is so excited, they spend a lot of energy and time and focus and attention and knowledge and everything to give you something back. Same deal with AI, right? You give more, you get more, right?
കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ആയിട്ട് AI ഉപയോഗിച്ച് നമ്മളൊരു ഇമാജിനേഷൻ, ഭാവന, ഈ ഒരു സാധനമൊക്കെ ശരിക്കും കുറയുന്നുണ്ടെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ, അല്ല കൂടുന്നുണ്ട്?
ഇപ്പം നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ എന്താ തോന്നിയത്? ലൈക്ക് കൂടിയോ അതോ?
നമ്മൾ കൂടുതൽ ചെയ്യും തോറും മടിയനാവുക എന്നുള്ളൊരു
ടൂള് മാത്രമാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു സാധാരണക്കാരന് ഇപ്പം മനസ്സിൽ ഒരു ഡ്രോയിങ് വന്നു, അയാൾക്ക് വരയ്ക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അയാളുടെ ഭാവനയുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ ആ ത്രൂ AI ക്യാൻ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്. സോ ഭാവന ഒരിക്കലും അവിടെ തീരുന്നില്ല.
എന്താണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ അഭിപ്രായം? എന്താണ്? ഐ തിങ്ക് ഇറ്റ്സ് എൻ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ. യെസ് യെസ്.
I think there are things for and against AI as a tool, but it needs to be regulated as we evolve. So there are things that can go beyond our control.
Yeah.
So government, it's high time, I think, to get into this regulatory framework.
Exactly.
Especially.
So, I get your point. So, in any technology, you have good actors and bad actors. When social media came up, you first felt it's really good, right? I mean, you can connect with people instantly, right? So, there are good actors who used it for connecting with people. There were bad actors who used it for abusing people, right? So, I think in any technology, you have both, right? Electricity കൊണ്ട് ഷോക്ക് അടിച്ച് മരിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്, ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ നടന്ന, അല്ലേ? Electricity ഷോക്ക് അടിച്ച് മരിക്കുന്ന ആയിരക്കണക്കിന് ആൾക്കാരില്ലേ? So, but in AI's case, I think there is an attempt for a campaign which is even more bigger to show it as a dangerous thing, right? So, എന്ത് ടെക്നോളജി വരുമ്പോഴും അതിൻ്റെ സ്കെപ്റ്റിക്സിൻ്റെ ഇൻസെൻറ്റീവ്സ് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കണം, എൻ്റെ ഒപ്റ്റിമിസ്റ്റുകളുടെ ഇൻസെൻറ്റീവ് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. ഒപ്റ്റിമിസ്റ്റുകൾ എല്ലാവരും നല്ലതാണെന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നില്ല. ഒപ്റ്റിമിസ്റ്റുകൾക്ക് അവരുടേതായ ഇൻസെൻറ്റീവ്സ് ഉണ്ട് അതിനെ പ്രൊമോട്ട് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്, right? But as a user, so I'm not an optimist or a skeptical, but I'm a little bit a fan of AI. Sure, like obviously you would have understood, but more as a user or as a pro user, not as a investor, not as an entrepreneur or anything. As a pro user, I am excited to use this to amplify myself and my team and my clients and my stakeholders and my learners and everybody. Right? That's നമ്മുടെ ഒരു incentive, right? I mean, get what you're saying.
AI ഏത് AI ആണെങ്കിലും ഡാറ്റ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്യാനൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് ഒത്തിരി കമ്പ്യൂട്ടിംഗ് കോസ്റ്റും എനർജിയും ഒക്കെ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നില്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ കണ്ടമാനം AI യൂസേജ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി ഗോയിങ് ടു ഇത് കൂൾ ചെയ്യാൻ ഒത്തിരി വാട്ടർ സ്കാസിറ്റി അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സംഭവം റീഡ് ചെയ്തു. ഇസ് ഇറ്റ് യു കമന്റ് ഓൺ?
ശരിയാണ്, പക്ഷേ ലൈക്ക് ഇപ്പം ആര് പറഞ്ഞു ഒരു പ്രോംപ്റ്റിന് ഒരു ബക്കറ്റ് വെള്ളം, അങ്ങനെ ദാറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ദ വേ ഇറ്റ് വർക്ക്സ്. ഇതെന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ when social media is exaggerating stuff so that content gets a lot of views. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരാൾ കാണുകയാണ് നിങ്ങളടിക്കുന്ന ഓരോ പ്രോംപ്റ്റിനും ഓരോ ബക്കറ്റാണ്, അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മൈ ഗോഡ് ഞാൻ ഇനി പ്രോംപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല, എന്തൊരു തെറ്റാണ് AI. I mean, so but actually have you ever seen what is the actual unit number? See, the entire OpenAI ഉണ്ടാക്കാനായിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന എനർജി you can actually Google and find out. It is maybe 1,000 കാർ ഓടിക്കണം, അത്ര തന്നെ ഉള്ളൂ. ലൈക്ക് 1,000 കാഴ്സിൻ്റെ എമിഷൻസിൻ്റെ ഒപ്പമാണ്, ഇയർലി എമിഷൻസിൻ്റെ ഒപ്പമാണ് OpenAI ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ, LLM ഉണ്ടാക്കാനാണ് ചിലവാക്കിയത്. സോ 1,000 കാഴ്സ് കൊച്ചിയിൽ പനമ്പള്ളിനറിൽ മാത്രമല്ലേ? So what are you talking about? So the global impact of what AI can actually do, we have already done the damage, right? Like we have millions of cars out there. I mean, so we can't be blaming only AI for the pollution, right? We are doing so many other things which are like even more crazier. Yeah.
How in terms of IPR? Because currently we don't have any much into AI IPRs. So how do you look at down the line? Government is going to introduce IPRs, and how is it going to affect down the line with the IPRs when it comes to the creative content?
So if you're a user and if you have a tool, whatever you produce, it is yours. You're generating content, it is yours. You are the owner of the content, right? Like for example, you are making an image, you are the owner, not runway ML. Right? Unless like if there is a specific policy saying that this can't be used commercially. So there are some tools saying that you can use this for yourself, but you can't use it commercially. Right? Which means, for example, you have a platform called Suno AI, which produces music. But in the free version, use it, music and cinema notice. Or they may not, but then there is a point there which they can make. Right? Whereas if you buy a commercial license of Suno AI, make music, you can use it. Say, for example, there itself 100K views in a mode like information. But if you take an enterprise license, it's all yours. Right? So every AI tool will make slab-based ownership for the content you make with that, be it music, be it video, be it whatever images or analysis of content, anything. Right?
ഡോക്ടേഴ്സിന് എക്സ്ക്ലൂസീവായിട്ട് ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആവുന്ന ഏതെങ്കിലും AI ടൂള് എപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും ശ്രദ്ധയപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? പേഴ്സണൽ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ.
Exclusively for doctors, so individual doctors are individual.
Any.
So Google MedLM platform, MedLM, which is actually an enterprise product which is sold to healthcare hospitals. And so the point of MedLM is the MedLM is trained with large amounts of healthcare data of the US. So for example, millions of retina images, radiologist scans, okay, train which means that MedLM.
IBM എന്തൊരു വാർണ.
Yes, IBM Watson ഉണ്ട്. So essentially, now there is a platform in India who made like Cure AI, which means that again radiologists can actually use AI tool to diagnose images. Like you put a radiology image, it will tell you what to do. So you don't have to go through, reading it.
Cure AI ആണോ അത്?
അതെ. Cure. There are a lot of new interesting tools. Image recognition space ഒത്തിരി tools വേറെ വരുന്നുണ്ട്.
നമുക്ക് ലേണിങ്ങിന് ലേണിംഗ് ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത് ജനറേറ്റീവ് AI ഇൻഡെപ്തിൽ എക്സ്പ്ലോർ ചെയ്യാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നു ഞാൻ.
So I'm sure some of you mentioned about Perplexity AI. ഇത് കാണാനില്ലല്ലോ. So Perplexity AI was actually good, but right now ChatGPT Pro has a search option is there, right? For example, if you the earlier version of ChatGPT didn't have a search thing, which means that ഇത് കണ്ടില്ലേ search. So it's going to take real-time information. So for example, give me AI tools for doctors. It will go and search in the web, right? Not in the LLM.
Aggregators also.
Both, yeah. So ഓരോ ഏരിയയ്ക്കുള്ള അത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ്. Some of them are free, some of them will be an enterprise product, right? Some mental health ഓരോ category കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. Perplexity is also good. Like I used to like it, but right now with all this DeepSeek and everything, it's Perplexity ഒരു charm ഇത്തിരി കുറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുകയാണ്. So how many of you tried DeepSeek?
I've tried, but I'm not able to install it properly.
No, it's web browser actually.
Oh, but okay.
Yeah. For example, if I want to So ഏറ്റവും ഡീപ്സിക്കിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഗുണം വെച്ചാൽ അതിൽ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിന് തിങ്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന പാറ്റേൺ പറയും അവർ. Because it is free.
Otherwise, functionality-wise?
Yeah, it's okay. So ഇതിൽ കമ്പാരിസൺ വരുന്ന ഇപ്പോൾ ഡീപ്സിക്കിനെ പറ്റി ഭയങ്കര എക്സൈറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ട് സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ചാറ്റ്ജിപിയുടെ ഫ്രീ വേർഷൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാരായിരിക്കും. പ്രോ കണ്ടവർക്ക് ഡീപ്സിക്ക് ഇസ് ജസ്റ്റ് ഓക്കെ, ഇറ്റ്സ് ഫൈൻ, അത് തുടങ്ങട്ടെ. സോ ബട്ട് ഫോർ ഫ്രീ വേർഷൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാരെ സംബന്ധിച്ചോളം ചാറ്റ്ജിപിടി കൊടുക്കാത്ത കുറേ കാര്യം ഡീപ്സിക്ക് ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട് കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ ഒരു ഡേവിഡ് ആൻഡ് ഗോലിയത്ത് വാർ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ലൈക്ക് you feel like OpenAI is big, Sam Altman is big, ആ സംഭവങ്ങളൊക്കെ. And DeepSeek is entirely trained with a budget of 1/100th of AI എന്നാണ്. OpenAIയുടെ 1/100th കോസ്റ്റിലാണ് DeepSeek ഉണ്ടാക്കിയെന്നാണ് അവർ പറയുന്നത്. പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ആ ന്യൂസ് കേട്ടിട്ടാണ് NVIDIAയുടെ മാർക്കറ്റ് പ്രൈസ് കുറഞ്ഞത്. ചിലപ്പോൾ തെറ്റായിരിക്കും, ചൈനക്കാരല്ലേ, അവർ they will say something so that the entire market value of AI will come down and it will create a ruckus in the market and they will use that market dynamism to make profit for themselves. I mean, that could be a possibility. That is a clear possibility which, considering what it can be done. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ പറയും വെറും $6 million ഉപയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞങ്ങൾ DeepSeek ഉണ്ടാക്കി 500 million ആണ് OpenAI ചിലവായെന്ന് പറയും. ഉടനെ people are confused. ഇപ്പോൾ OpenAI was doing something which is crazy and what is the point in OpenAI എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് അതിന് കോൺവെർസേഷൻ നടക്കും. ഈ കോൺവെർസേഷൻ നടക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് മാർക്കറ്റ് പ്രൈസ് കുറയും and people will make profit out of it. Then normally when people come to know about the reality, by the time people have made money, right? So ഇതാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു മാർക്കറ്റ് പ്രശ്നം. So this is the Cure AI we are talking about. I think this radiology, and so I think DeepSeek is coming up with some Indian doctors എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് കാര്യം മനസ്സിലായി. So I mean it's coming. I think the list is better than OpenAI, like if you really look at it. Yeah. Good. So DeepSeek is there, and I was also testing something called Kimi.ai. Okay, fine. All right. So how many of you find? Yeah, please.
Sir, so what are your thoughts on the privacy concerns of all these AI platforms? Because you spoke of that platform called Tactic, if I'm not wrong. So it's listening to your meetings. Like you're the CEO of a company, and you'll have very private plans and strategies that your competitors wouldn't, you wouldn't want them to know it at all.
Right.
So what are your privacy concerns when it comes to these AI platforms? Like, do you go into the depths of who owns it and like concerns? How do you do your research, and whether you are worried about it and whether we should be worried about it?
Right. So I think in tech we need to trust, right, and verify, right? So trust but verify is a simple thing. With OpenAI, what I do is usually it's a very simple thing which you can do with ChatGPT is to go to settings and you can have an option for data control. So you can keep the data control, improve the model for everyone off, so that the data which we are putting into OpenAI will not be used for training the model. എൻ്റെ ഡാറ്റ വെച്ചിട്ട് നീ ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്യണ്ട എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന ഒരു പരിപാടിയാണത്. So, but otherwise, if you want to keep it open, you can keep it open also. It will be used for model improvement. So that's the immediate option which we have. Otherwise, yes, I think enterprises have serious worries. Like as an individual, I'm fine because it doesn't matter like some bit of information here. I mean, everything is about branding. Like I want people to know about it, right? But enterprises are seriously worried about whether the data has control, security, whether it will go out of hand to competitors. So such worries in avarippom OpenAI an enterprise API konduvandirundu, which allows you to control every bit of it. So there is a enterprise API ku vendite OpenAI ide clients inde oppam work cheyna attorneys aanu US le. For example, വലിയൊരു കമ്പനി ഓപ്പണായിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് അറ്റോർണീസാണ് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. ഓപ്പണായിട്ട് അറ്റോർണിയും ലൈക്ക് ഒബ്വിയസ്ലി വെർച്വലി, but they talk to and find out which are the areas which data control is not there, which are the areas which model training will be used. So there's a very clear understanding of these things. Now, just to give you a surprise news, OpenAI has also come up with something called OpenAI GOV. Told you about it, right? Where the entire American government's data will go through OpenAI. So it's designed to streamline government agencies' access to OpenAI's frontier model. So look at the companies who are already part of this OpenAI's API. All big agencies, ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവിടുത്തെ നമ്മുടെ KSEB, കേരള വാട്ടർ അതോറിറ്റി, അങ്ങനത്തെ US-ലുള്ള ഏജൻസീസാണ് ഇത് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, which means crucial, important public data, right? So if governments have started trusting AI tools, then I think that is reached that level, right? എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചാൽ നമ്മൾ DeepSeekൽ എനിക്കറിയില്ല, ബിക്കോസ് ഇറ്റ് ഡിപ്പെൻഡ്സ് ഓൾസോ. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ OpenAI is an American company, right? So the American government trusts OpenAI for that matter, but we don't know whether we should trust or not. But India government will make an attempt to work with OpenAI, I don't know, right?
Also, sir, this might be a bit off topic, but You might have heard of this. There was an Indian intern that used to work in OpenAI, and then he had a lawsuit saying that certain IPs were being stolen by OpenAI. So I think Sir also spoke about, the Sir sitting over there, I think he spoke about government regulations.
Yeah.
How important do you think they are, like, to develop this industry forward?
Yeah. So there is
Because
something
we shouldn't have misuse of it at any cost, right?
Absolutely agree with you. So there is something called AI Safety Institute, right? So every large language model will go through the process of regulation under AI Safety. So ഇവിടുത്തെ RBI, SEBI പോലെ ഒരു watchdog institute ആണ് AI Safety Institute US ല്. So what every LLM is supposed to do is to once their LLM frontier model is ready, they have to give access to this AI safety engineers to see whether this is creating any intentional problems. അപ്പോൾ ഇൻറ്റൻഷണൽ അല്ലാത്ത പ്രോബ്ലംസ് ആണ് നമ്മൾ ഹലൂസിനേഷൻ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത്. ഇൻറ്റൻഷണൽ അല്ല, ഒരു LLM-നും ഇൻറ്റൻഷണൽ ആയിട്ട് ഹലൂസിനേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ താല്പര്യമില്ല. ഇറ്റ്സ് ബിക്കോസ് ഓഫ് ദി errors in the model, it happens. But if there is an intentional way of trying to influence people through injecting biases or stealing information from other things, then there is a problem. Okay. So OpenAI has been kind of in a tricky situation for last couple of years in terms of stealing data. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്ന് മുകേഷ് അംബാനി OpenAI-ക്കെതിരായിട്ട് കേസ് കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, saying that News 18-ന്റെ ഡേറ്റ മുഴുവൻ എടുത്തിട്ടാണ് OpenAI അതിൻ്റെ ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്ത്. News 18 പറഞ്ഞാൽ paywall ഉള്ള ഒരു ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പറാണ്, right? So you have to pay $10 for accessing information from News 18, and this has been completely scraped by OpenAI to train its model. Now today OpenAI is investigating against DeepSeek, saying that OpenAI's model has been stolen by DeepSeek. Right? Microsoft അതിന് വേണ്ടി ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേഷൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. So ultimately I feel this is ഒരു ഓവറോൾ ഹ്യൂമൻ പ്രോഗ്രസ്സിന് വേണ്ടി നമ്മൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാധനം ആയതുകൊണ്ട് അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും നമ്മൾ കെട്ടെടുക്കാനുള്ള സാധ്യത കൂടുതലാണ്. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ്സ് ദ റീസൺ മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ അമേരിക്കൻ, ഈവൻ എലോൺ മസ്ക് സേസ് ദാറ്റ് if everyone wants to grow, I think we may have to steal from each other, right? I mean, that's the way it works. When we copy, we get inspired by people, we get inspired. For example, to build Sora, the OpenAI video platform, where is the video information coming from? From YouTube. Millions of YouTube videos have been stolen by OpenAI. Obviously, stolen എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. I mean, different ways. Obviously, OpenAIയുടെ CTO തന്നെ അഡ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളൊരു കാര്യമാണ് in an interview that we have scrapped data from video. So YouTube is owned by Google, and OpenAI is taking it as a competitor. OpenAI and Google Gemini are competitors, right? So, but ultimately, tech giants are feeling that this is overall progress of humanity, and we may have to adjust here a little bit and there, right? Sometimes you need to do some case against here and there to just showcase that we care for privacy and transparency. Otherwise, I think we're all in the same game, right? That's my take on that. But yes, it has its own challenges when it comes to working on data. Like, what if when you do hundreds of conversations, say for example, recently I put a prompt saying that based on all the hundreds of conversations, give me a strategy for 2025. And I saw the result is like killer. No coach can give me that kind of a insight because it knows me so well that it kind of designed a program for me, saying that do this, don't do this, right? Don't waste time on this, do this. There is a very clear plan, just like a Pareto analysis, right? In management, you call it Pareto analysis, right? Like 80% of the things which we do are waste. 20% of the things which actually we do gets you 80% of the results, right? So when you apply Pareto analysis to your life, AI is able to give you that coaching advice, right? So it can act like a very interesting expert advisor also.
What's the advice for developing the prompting?
Yeah. So how did you find my prompting?
So I found it very interesting. So how do you develop?
So if you kind of look at a formula, what would that be? Just because it's very simple, common sense, right? What I do is, one is persona, like act like a marketing strategist or whatever, like, act like a specialist in that area, right? 2 is task. What is a task? Make this, right? 3 is usually you give a goal. My goal is to understand and do this better, right? Or I have a goal to make like a 12-week plan, right? That's a goal, right? Or I said marathon. I want to run a marathon. This is my goal. Task is make a habit schedule for that matter. Condition is that I have 90 kilos or 100 kilos. That's a constraint. Like, so I'm not a healthy runner. I have 100 kilo, I have 6'1", I've not been running for a while. So these are conditions and constraints which I put. Now AI understands you fairly good. Right? This prompt will help you to get. So now you got it, right? Now you get the element of prompting. Now it's all about how you start practicing it. And once you start practicing and you start getting better results, you wouldn't go back to the normal prompting, right? Because the normal prompting will give you very, very generic output, which mostly you will give up. So I've seen people giving up all these tools because they are doing normal prompting, right? Right? But when you start prompting well, your output gets slightly better. And when you get better, your people will notice, oh, so that's when we create an edge. So prompting through practice, yes, you can. And then if you throw keywords, it won't give you anything, right? You write a proper prompt. So we come from a Google search conditioning. നമ്മുടെ പ്രശ്നം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ കുറേ കൊല്ലങ്ങളായിട്ട് ഗൂഗിൾ സെർച്ച് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ചാറ്റ് GPT വന്നപ്പോൾ അതേ ടെക്നിക്ക് നമ്മൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് ഇട്ടു. കുറച്ച് 2 വാക്കൊക്കെ ഇട്ട് നോക്കുക. But what if you want to really tell the context? So spend at least a minute writing a prompt, making it clear that what you really want. Then you can refine based on iterations. Yeah. Further chain of thought prompting or whatever. Yeah. Good question. Prompting is very key for this. Yeah.
Google search in the karyam parnappo thoniyana. So now when we go and search something in Google, we get that AI generated content.
Yeah.
Right? So in all this while what happened was we are supposed to be going and clicking on the URL, right? So now that path is blocked. So what happens? How are we going to tackle it? Because this is also part of how do we access those particular websites or companies.
Yeah. So there is SEO, right? Search engine optimization. Now we are talking about, SEO in the AI era, right? Like how would somebody search in a ChatGPT tool get to know about my product? Right? So it's actually SEO itself, if you really look at it. But a lot of people are taking story, this is different. If you start making good content, it will be picked up by LLMs, right? But there is a slight change in the way Google algorithm and the AI ChatGPT algorithm works. For example, Perplexity will only get you highly curated stuff, right? So it will go to the website. If it is just a normal website, it would ignore it. If it is a curated website with a news website or it has a category to rank websites. So let's look at what kind of websites are getting listed and then probably get to put our content there. That is one. But sometimes it can happen like this, that we may never know what exactly how it works. Right? The only way to do is to produce authentic content, right? And not even thinking about how to hack a AI SEO thing. I think hacker mindset will be very short-term thing. Right? Instead you produce real content, it will generally have its effect on the SEO. And good content will be picked up by any of the tools. Right? But people might have a different way of looking at it. People want instant results. They'll say, do this, do that. Yes, it can happen. But you can try with both. Like have a Google SEO strategy, AI strategy, and look at the examples how they're giving you to do AI SEO. Right? Then you can try, because if you want to get ahead to the AI SEO faster, then there are some hacks to it. Right? Okay, great. Anything else? So how many of you find these ideas which you discussed are a little useful and you can go back and try and do this? Just give a final comment, feedback, that would be great. 100%, right? How many of you feel 100% like him? Just raise your hand so that, great. Any other comments which you have or anything which you would like to share? Yeah.
This is referring to the earlier question asked about the creativity, because I'm into the design department. So I'm very hesitant to use AI to create images, because when I take a pen and paper or drawing ink or brush to draw, I make a personal connection with the paper and the pen and my brain.
Yeah.
And when I put a prompt to create something, I'm not getting the that human pleasure of drawing something. So it's a very personal choice. But like the way you produced that, you created that video, it's very promising. But then if I can apply those artistic ways of looking at how the lighting should be in a landscape, how the flow of the water should be, so if we can critically look at it, maybe I think we can achieve more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy doing it, you shouldn't be giving it to AI, right?
Yeah.
You should do it yourself, because if you enjoy writing, you should write yourself, right? But what if you don't enjoy? What if you don't have the time to do it? What if you're not really capable of doing high quality content? Yes, you can go to AI. And like you said, in AI, you are not allowing AI to create a random stuff. You are directing it. Like, for example, what is a director doing? Director is telling the cinematographer, I want this. I want this. And if he's trying to get something, it's not coming up to the mark, he'll go back. Chain of thought prompting. No? He said, no, can we try this? And then the guy would understand and do this. This is the same thing. We are becoming a director in the process of producing the kind of content we want. It's not like AI is doing everything, right? For example, animation studio, there are people who are working and giving every bit of details, right? So it's not like produce something, right? No. So there is, of course, there is random production also. I mean, the quality of random production won't be great. But if you know creative directed production, it is very different. That's all what I mean to say, yeah. So we shouldn't let any AI take away our happy jobs, like, yeah. All right, great. Yeah, we are done. Thank you, thank you. Thanks for your patient listening and great.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of our JAIN University, we sincerely appreciate the time and effort you have taken to share your expertise with us today. Your insights on generative AI and its impact on productivity have been truly enlightening. As a token of our gratitude, we would like to present with a momentum. Thank you once again for your contribution, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. It's a pleasure interacting with you.
As we wrap up this insightful session, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Krishnakumar, sir, for sharing his expertise and thought-provoking perspectives. To all our participants, thank you for joining us today. We hope this session has provided you with valuable takeaways that you can apply in your professional journey. Let's continue to embrace innovation and leverage AI for greater efficiency and success. Thank you.